Good afternoon, welcome to this weekly market update from AGM Markets. There's the 25th of July 2013. What we'll do today is go through some technical analysis on Euro dollar, cable dollar, Swiss dollar, yen dollar, CAD and gold. Just sort of review what's been going on in the charts and go through any sort of interesting setups that I can see out there which may be of some use. For anyone who follows, there's 3 moving averages on each of these charts. The red one is a 50 simple moving average, the purple is 100 simple moving average, and the gold is 200. We're not making any trade calls or recommendations in this video. You trade at your own risk. If you could please read our full disclaimer on our website at www.agmmarkets.com. Okay, and this is the euro dollar daily chart. What has been going on in the euro dollar? The last sort of few days have been, quite not massively interesting in terms of like the size of the candles. It's basically just been grinding higher really, especially if you flip it to the sort of 4-hour chart as well. You can see they're quite small candles here after these big ones here. It has been just slowly grinding higher. The last couple of days have just been quite choppy really, so it hasn't been the greatest of all charts, and not really sort of normal price action that I'm used to seeing on euro dollar anyway, but it is still being technical, and there's some certain setups out there in play. On the 4-hour, actually let's look at the 1-hour. We're initially looking at this was a fib here, so you got from those highs to lows there. It came back down, didn't quite reach the 50%. We had that 100 SMA supported, and that rotated it higher. And then the main one from the other side. So if you look from the highs to the lows, this was initially getting held here at a 61.8. It came back down, so we tested off this 100 SMA and it's rotated higher. We had another little test here, the 61.8, came back down. Buyers came in at the 50% and took it higher. You can now see, as soon as we closed above the 61.8, you can see we have these 2 spikes here, pretty much to the pip. You can see it clearer, I think, if you zoom in on the 1 hour. So I've been on my computer's playing games today. So I'll just go back to the 4 hour. Yeah, you can see 2 clear spikes there. So where we've closed above, and it's still acting as a decent level. And we're now above it, but it has been quite choppy. But the lower wicks indicate that it wants to keep on grinding higher, in my opinion. I think if we get a 4-hour close below, then it could well come down back to this 50%. But quite an interesting chart. Not the greatest of charts. It's normally much better technically. I think it's just a lot of indecision going on in euro dollar at the minute, and that's been noted by the last sort of 3 candles really. Quite a lot of wick. Especially yesterday's candle, classic example, a decent amount of upper wick and lower wick, and today's candle is just nearly a doji already. So it's been a tricky one to guess really. But one level I'd definitely look out and keep an eye out for is this one spot 3180s. Key resistance it was over here, and it was a resistance here, big spike, and you can now see that we're above that. So it's the key sort of line in the sand really, this one spot 3180. I'm just drawing it clear here. One spot 3180 is the key line in the sand for euro dollar. If we stay above that, then there's no reason why it can't grind up and test these highs here. The June highs at 1 spot 34.15s, and if it comes back, then if we get a sort of daily close below, then this fib here would be one that I'd certainly be looking out for in terms of buying opportunities, because it's also a previous support as well as a 50% zone. It has previous support there, so that could be an interesting one to look out for. But no, I think for me, in terms of this daily chart, it's all about this one spot 3180s. It's the sort of key bull bear line really. Let's have a look at the cable. Cable's been a much more technical chart, I think, in terms of this daily, in terms of fibs, because you have this key fib here from the highs to the lows. See those one spot 53.92s held, and we're now pressing lower, but you can see buyers is already starting to come at this 50%. So that may act as support. Also, that one spot 52.81s is previous resistance around here, so it could turn out as support as well. So it's an interesting one to look out for here. We were originally looking at this fib, weren't we? So from those highs to the lows there, yeah, we were, I remember. And yeah, so that 50% held, came back above, sellers came in front around the 61.8 and bring it back down. So you can see we've got a double bottom here. Key level if we do eventually get back down here. So one spot 48.30s is key support. So buyers are still going to want to bring this back up. So if we do get a little dip here, this fib here could be quite an interesting one to look out for. Off the 61.8, you can see its previous support as well, one spot 50.32s. Keep an eye out on that, but of course you do have these sellers wanting to press this lower back into these one spot 48.30, so keep an eye out on that one. But that's how I'm personally looking at the cable. You see it's these two moving averages here, the 50 and the 100 day, slicing through this pair currently. So the moving averages, I think, is what's been making it quite choppy as well. On the euro dollar around here, you had three very near each other, causing quite a volatile price action, and that's what could happen here on the cable. Dollar Swiss, first thing that springs to mind is this sort of fib here. Hasn't been playing too technical. It came off the 50% originally with that 100-day moving average. I remember tweeting that. We've got a little bounce here, so could have easily put your stop to break even or what have you off that, but it came back down, so it failed that 50%, but came off the 61.8. Had a nice little pop up there, so you could have grabbed a few pips, but that's also failed as well at the 100-day moving average, so that capped that one there. 100-day moving average very key here on this dollar Swiss chart. So you can see it acts as decent support around there to 50%, and then it capped it there. So keep an eye on that, and you can see it's just the 200 days slicing through the price action at the minute. But yeah, that's the one fib that I'm definitely looking out for. Also, I think you got this one here on the dollar Swiss, so still from this lows to the highs here. It hasn't been that technical around this level here. I mean, that may be a 78.6 or an 88.6 level, but what you can see is, so I'll just draw this a little bit wider. You can see the 61.8 on this fib has been holding quite nicely, nice little spike there, and it's starting to rotate higher. So keep an eye on that. I think the bias is towards the upside, to be honest with you, because you've pretty much got two fibs still in play here. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this grind higher, but it has got a lot to get through. You've got the 50% to get through, and you've got two key moving averages here. Also notice that the 50-day has crossed down the 100-day moving average as well, so a lot of people will see that as a selling opportunity. You can see the last cross was very nice, the 50 crossing up the 100. We've got a nice little rotation higher there, so keep an eye on that. Quite an interesting chart, but you can see in terms of the overall picture, it has just been really going sideways on this daily chart. In terms of, if you look at the bigger picture, it has been quite sideways action, so hopefully we'll get some sort of break and clear direction on that. Dollar Swiss also quite choppy really over the last sort of 10 days. A very tight range you're talking about here in terms of daily candle closes. You're talking about 200 pips bang on there. The last sort of 10 days candles just chopping around in between that, but it is still above the two key moving averages here, the 50-day and the 100-day. But also notice here that the 50-day has crossed below the 100-day moving average, so that's quite a key indicator there. A lot of people will be looking at. Also notice that the previous cross up was superb, so could this be the start of the downtrend? It has been since we sort of reached the sort of 100 level. It has failed to pop up. think what was the high on this one, 103.74. But one thing to notice, it does look, I mean, in my opinion, it does look like it's starting to top out. It's making higher lows here. A lot of people are just going to be selling at any sort of bounce off this trendline resistance. So definitely keep an eye on that one. And yeah, that's pretty much it on dollar yen, to be honest with you. It's just making lower highs. It's got the 50-day crossing down of the 100-day, so I would not be surprised to see this continue to come down, or maybe just chop around, really just slowly drop down to maybe a healthier retracement level. Maybe it could come back down to sort of the 94 handle here, and buyers come back in. But then again, it could easily break above and rip up this trendline resistance and break highs. So interesting one to watch out for, really. So I think this trendline resistance is really key here. If you do get a daily close above, then I think it will fly up. But if we sort of get a daily close below these moving averages, then I would not be surprised to see it come down to this 94 handle or the 200-day moving average here. The dollar CAD has been a very interesting chart. We've been spoken about them multiple times. It's been playing off these key fibs. You had this one here, from those highs to those lows there. Bam, straight off this 61.8, we rotated higher, and then off of that low of the bounce, you have this one here. So from those lows to these highs here, I'll just widen that up. 61.8 came in, buyers rotated it higher. So if you wanted to, you could extend that low to this low here, but we have closed below the 61.8 here. But you can see the 100-day moving average, nice little reversal candle off of this yesterday, so would not be surprised to see this grind higher. If we flip it out to the weekly, actually, you've got a nice trendline support going on here as well. So I'll flip that back to daily so you can see a bit clearer. Yeah, nice trendline support, so we'll not be surprised to see it come down and test that either. But it is trying to bounce off decent support here. But you can't ignore the trendline supports, because pairs do tend to like to come down to these for big buyers to come in. But that's all I'm really focused on, to be honest with you, on this dollar CAD. Nothing massively of interest. But in fact, actually, I think this will be I reckon this could be a nice fib here. No, it's not. Completely ignore that. No, that's all the focus, to be honest with you. But I think yesterday's daily candle is quite a decent reversal, so I would not be surprised to see it rotate higher. But it has come down quite significantly off here, so I would not also be surprised to see it come down to this trendline support. So I think the next few daily candle closes will be quite interesting. If we close below 100-day moving average, and I think the trendline support could be in play. But if we continue to grind higher, then and we get a close above the 50-day moving average, I won't be surprised to see highs get tested on that. The gold chart, that's done for the forex. Have a look at the gold chart. What do we have? It's more interesting on the shorter term plays, I think. It's still trying to grind higher. We had a nice little fib this fib bounce here off the 61.8, so that really rotated nicely and higher there. But yeah, it's just trying to grind higher here, because we've had such a significant sell-off on this sort of, look at the daily chart, or even the weekly is much clearer. A real big sell-off there, and it is looking like it's wanting to grind high and come back up and test this 200-week moving average here. And you can see we're sort of chopping around the 50-day moving average here. But if we close above, then we'll be surprised to see the 100-day get tested, and then maybe even the 200-day here. But it's still, well, in fact, this trendline resistance got broken. So yeah, it's still continuing to fly up. Probably the next trendline resistance a lot of people will be looking out for is this one here. But of course, we have a long way to go to that. Okay, that's all for today. the charts aren't as technical as normal. Really, we've had much more interesting videos, in my opinion. More interesting setups. A lot of indecision going on around the markets. There, you can see that, especially it's very evident in the dollar yen there. I think cable, there's some decent setups going out there, especially that one. The sellers are still in play on that, and if we get a bounce down, look for that fib. Euro dollar, it's all about the one spot 31.80s. I'll tweet a few charts out to it. If you want to see these on Twitter. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed that video. I hope you have a great rest of the week trading. I'll catch you next week. Thanks for listening.